And if they're not able to continue without paying a large tax charge, they'll have to stop being in business. AI will change a lot, I think. I mean, we're already seeing it changing a lot. We had 180,000 graduate jobs 3 or 4 years ago advertised on read.co.uk, now down to sort of 50,000. Big drop. I think family businesses have had a bit of a hit. I think it's concerning because a lot of these businesses don't throw off huge profits, but they do generate jobs and they do give families, a living. And if they're not able to continue without paying a large tax charge, they'll have to stop being in business. I mean, what's worse about it now, I think, is then there was a defined crisis. You could see why this had happened and you could see an end to it. It's not clear. There might be some really big structural changes going on with new technology, and governments are struggling all around the world, and it's not clear where this is going to end.
Hello and welcome to another edition of City AM's Boardroom Uncovered with me, Jon Robinson. My guest for this episode is James Reed, the chairman and CEO of recruitment giant Reed. Founded by his father, Sir Alec, in 1960, James joined the family firm in the early 90s before taking on the top job in 1997. But with the UK's recruitment sector battling challenges left, right and centre, how does James Reed think the dire situation can be turned around? Without any further delay, let's dive in. Well, James, thank you so much for coming on Boardroom Uncovered. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, John. It's a real pleasure.
Reed is a family business. Your dad, Sir Alec, set it up in 1960 and you followed him into the family firm. I'm wondering whether that was always inevitable.
No, it wasn't. Dad did start in Hounslow in 1960. I joined him, when I was 30, so a little bit later. I don't think anything's inevitable, is it? But it was always there in my mind as a sort of possibility. And he was sort of kind enough to offer me a job. And I mean, the family joke is, after a 30-year interview, I got the job. And that's what happened, really. Back in 1994, I started full-time in the company, although I'd worked as an unpaid, listen to that, unpaid non-executive. There aren't many of them around for 2 years before that. So, I mean, obviously I grew up with the business. I knew lots of people who worked in the business and I could see his enthusiasm and love for the business. And that was really infectious. And I'm delighted I accepted his offer all those years ago because it's been great. Great journey since.
Did he interview you?
Well,
was there a formal interview process?
No, not like that. But I mean, he knew me pretty well. So he knew all my faults. So he was kind enough to overlook them, I guess, and give me the opportunity. I'm hugely grateful to him for that. And we worked together for many years. And I really look back on that time with great affection. I mean, anyone who has the opportunity to work with a family member, I guess it doesn't work out for everyone, but in our case it did. And it meant we shared much more of our life together, which I loved.
So what did you do before you joined?
I did quite a lot of things. I went to Afghanistan as an aid worker. I worked for Saatchi & Saatchi. I worked for Anita Roddick, the brilliant entrepreneur who set up the Body Shop. And I worked at the BBC for a bit. So I'd had quite a lot of sort of different jobs.
Lots of experience,
by the time I joined. And I went to business school. And that was important because I think, I had to learn business. And I encourage people, to do vocational study because it's really helped me in the years since. If I'd done geography or something, it might not have been quite so helpful for what I have to do now.
Yes.
So I studied economics and I studied business, and that's been really helpful.
And when you joined, in your mind at least, did you always want to become CEO? Because you didn't necessarily have to.
The answer to that is yes.
Yes.
Because I didn't want my dad to do better than me. Did I? So, it's father-son competition here. So I wanted to be. I suppose the psychology of that's quite deep, isn't it? I wanted to probably impress my dad, and at the same time, I wanted to be successful. And I had lots of ideas for the business, and I could see lots of opportunities for the business. And rather like him, I wanted to make those things happen. And if you are CEO, you can make things happen. I mean, I think in other roles, people get more frustrated, perhaps. I mean, being a CEO is frustrating too on occasion, but you can make things happen, and that's the really rewarding part of it.
I suppose you ended up taking on his job, but I suppose he's still got one thing over you, and he had the knighthood, and you've got just a CBE.
Oh, he's got many things over me. I'm not going to tell you what I've got over him, but I don't worry about that sort of thing. He was continues to be my greatest teacher. I learned so much from my dad. I mean, he's an incredible entrepreneur, and he's a sort of ideas machine. And I love the fact that he's always looking for new ideas and what's next. And that is really contagious. So I love working with him. And he still asks me tough questions, age 91.
Sure.
So, it's pretty entertaining. So I'll be seeing him tomorrow, and I'll be asked to report back on a couple of things. I'm absolutely sure. So his title is Founder at Large. I'm now the Chairman and CEO, but, we all have to report to somebody, don't we?
Yeah, that's
so I report to my shareholders, and he's a big one.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. What about the next generation?
We've got other family members who are involved in the business in various ways. I think they're just tentatively feeling their way into it, and I'm hoping that it will continue as a family business. I have 6 children, and I've got 5 nephews and nieces. So there are family members who I hope will continue in the business. I wouldn't put the pressure on them that you have to become CEO or there's any expectation of running it necessarily, but there's lots of opportunities for them, and I think they can have a good contribution to make.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful business, but it's grown and it's become more complex. And there's a lot more technology involved now. When I joined back in the early 1990s, there was no mobile phones, there was no internet, there was no real networks. I mean, this has changed a lot.
I'm sure it has.
And now we've got AI, of course.
Absolutely. Which hindrance, a help for recruitment?
AI will change a lot, I think. I mean, we're already seeing it changing a lot. And every company's using it in varying degrees, even if they're just looking things up on ChatGPT. We're all exploring how to use it and how to make it help us and become more efficient. I think my concern with it is a lot of companies are using it primarily to automate jobs, and that's affected white-collar opportunities. So, those graduate roles that have typically been entry-level jobs are disappearing pretty quickly. So, we've seen that in our own data. We had 180,000 graduate jobs 3 or 4 years ago advertised on read.co.uk, now down to sort of 50,000. Big drop. So we're seeing that. At the same time, we've got our own new business, read.ai. And it's a beta, and it's helping small and medium-sized businesses find really skilled people very efficiently. So, that's a wonderful opportunity. So everything is up in the air. There's a lot of opportunities here, but there will be a lot of disruption that goes with it.
For sure. Now, we're sitting in the heart of the City of London, so I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question. Would you ever consider floating Reed?
Reed was once floated, and I took it private.
You did.
So that would be admitting a mistake, wouldn't it?
Can you?
Maybe that's a task for the next generation, John.
Can you admit mistakes?
Yes, of course. But I don't think that was one of them. Right? From where I'm sitting right now.
Why was it not a mistake?
Because we're a family company. We never went to the market for money. So we weren't looking to do acquisitions or to raise money from the market, which is actually, it's very efficient at doing, but that wasn't something we were looking for. And there were costs associated with being floated that were growing in size. And it was like being a member of a club you didn't show up to. So we thought after a bit, this wasn't right for us. And, as a family company that wasn't doing anything, it didn't really suit us. And I remember The Guardian had a picture of my dad, and it said, Alec Reed. He was Alec, just not Sir Alec then, just Alec Reed. He took his company private today after 32 uneventful years on the London Stock Exchange. But he was saying rightly that the people who bought the shares at the beginning and we bought them off at the end did really well, as he did. So, it wasn't a bad journey. I'm not suggesting other people don't do it, but it just didn't suit us at the time. And it might suit, the next generation.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's always an option that people should look at. But I think financial markets need to make sure that they're attractive and, a good answer for business requirements.
What about the state of family businesses in the UK at the moment? The last budget wasn't particularly kind to family businesses for a variety of reasons. Well,
yeah, I think family businesses have had a bit of a hit, and you're talking, I think, about the inheritance tax, 20%. How that plays out, I don't yet know. And it's affected farmers as well. I mean, that's probably been more high
That was
profile.
the headlines, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, farmers and family businesses are all in the same situation. And I think it's concerning because a lot of these businesses don't throw off huge profits, but they do generate jobs and they do give families, a living. And if they're not able to continue without paying a large tax charge, they'll have to stop being in business. They'll have to sell their business. And who's going to buy these businesses? Well, PE firms.
Yeah.
So if we want an economy with more PE-run businesses that leverage them up and take the cash out and send it off somewhere else, perhaps, maybe this is a way to do it. But I don't think that's the intention. So there might be some unintended consequences that arise from this that are unhelpful. But I have an idea for some of these family businesses. They can become philanthropy companies by giving some of their shares to a charitable foundation. And that's a really good route for the future for families that might find themselves in that situation. We stumbled upon it by accident many years ago, but 18% of Reed is owned by a charitable foundation. So we say one day a week we work for charity. And people in the business love that. Our customers like it. They like the fact that we're a different kind of company with a different DNA. So, a lot of family businesses might be sort of thinking, oh, that doesn't look much fun, the inheritance tax problem coming their way. But they could turn it into an opportunity by becoming philanthropy companies. Because philanthropy companies last longer and do better than other companies. My research in my new book, Karma Capitalism, shows that. Here we go.
Shameless plug time.
Here we go. Yeah.
New book.
You couldn't expect me not to tell you all about that. It's just come out.
Tell me about the book. Where'd you get the ideas from? What's the thesis?
The book is called Karma Capitalism, karma with a K.
Yeah.
And it's a philosophy, a way of doing business. And it particularly describes a philanthropy company as a vehicle for being a different kind of business. So what are we trying to achieve here? Well, ultimately, I'm hoping that even if just one company becomes a philanthropy company, this book will have been worth writing. But I'm hoping that lots will, obviously, because a philanthropy company is a company, as defined in the book, that has 10% or more of its shares held by a charitable foundation. So half a day a week, everyone in the company works for charity as a minimum. And the idea is that as those companies grow and develop, they're throwing off dividends, returns to their community through the charitable foundation or to society more widely. We've stumbled upon this model because Reed is a philanthropy company, because many years ago, my father was very ill. And he had to sell a business. He made £5 million. He was about to pay a lot of death duty. And he thought, well, if I die, this will just be consumed in tax. But if I give it to the foundation, we might be able to use it more sort of creatively. And he did give it to the foundation, which then bought shares in our business. And he stayed alive and used it very creatively to start all sorts of different charities. And most importantly, a charity called Big Give, which has raised over $350 million for thousands of charities through a match funding platform. That's Phil Tech as a firm, so Philco. So I think these kind of businesses, and there are some really impressive examples of philanthropy companies from around the world. Rolex is one, IKEA is one, Lego is one, Carlsberg is one, Maersk is one, Novo Nordisk is one. These are really successful businesses that dominate their chosen markets and have real longevity. And that's because they have a different DNA. The people in those businesses really care about them. And that's what I'm encouraging other people to consider. And I want to establish, Philco as an idea through the book Karma Capitalism.
Fantastic. So I've got some quick fire questions now for you, James. Are you ready?
I love a quick fire question.
Here we go.
Go on.
First one, what was your first job?
Oh, you really want to know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Levelling graves in a cemetery in Old Windsor.
Didn't expect you to say that.
You didn't, did you?
How old are you?
17.
17.
And I was working in Old Windsor in the winter, and my job was to make the cemetery smooth for the lawnmowers when the grass started to grow. And there were lots of mounds and bumps and things.
How much did you get?
And I got paid £2.50 an hour, which was a good wage then, actually.
Yeah.
But it was a tough job because it was really cold. The fog used to come in off the river, and it was quite lonely. and the local pub wouldn't let you in if you had muddy boots. So it was quite tough. But I feel I earned my money. But one day, I could see a little figure coming through the mist towards me, through the tombstones. And it was an elderly woman, and she came up to me and said, "Hello, how are you?" And I said, "I'm fine, thanks." She said, "Do you like working here?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Well, at least you're not lonely. And then wandered off into the tombstones in the fog. And to this day, I don't know whether that was a real person or a ghost. But I do remember it.
Well, you come a long way since.
It was a good joke on her part.
Who inspires you?
Well, my dad. Which sounds, my dad, because, he started the company with £75. It comes from a very humble background. And he's always interested in people and in their ideas. And I find that very inspiring. And he's able to turn sort of ideas into magic. So, turning because an idea is just a sort of fleeting thing, isn't it? It's turning it into something that's the key, executing it in some way, making something happen. So I find that inspiring. And he's always encouraged me as well. But in quite a subtle way. He never says well done or anything like that.
Is that what you really want him to say?
Yeah. I know.
Come on, Dad.
He has recently once or twice, but not. So I hope he likes the new book because it's dedicated to him.
You're going to sign it for him?
He got the first copy.
Oh, yeah.
So I hope he's read it cover to cover by now. He should have done.
I'm sure he does. If you had to appoint a celebrity to your board, who would it be and why?
I just have.
Who is it?
I've appointed a wonderful man called Adrian Morehouse, who won a gold medal in the 1990 Olympics in Seoul, Korea, swimming, breaststroke, and then started his own business as an entrepreneur called Lane 4, which was a consulting business that he subsequently sold to PwC. So I really like Adrian. He's an elite athlete and an entrepreneur. So finding that combination I felt was pretty hot.
Yeah,
and he's just joined us, and I'm delighted to say I hope he'll be with us for several years to come.
Fantastic. What's the best thing about your job?
Monday mornings.
Monday
mornings. I love Mondays.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. I really set you up to say that advertising line.
You thought you had the gun.
Oh, no.
Quick fire questions.
Walked into that one.
You did. Monday. I love Mondays.
Okay.
I love Mondays because I can get up, get into the office, see my team and get going again. And I love what I do. Our company's purpose is improving lives through work, helping people progress. And I find that really motivational. And we do it, even if it's in a small way, making someone laugh or greeting them when they come into the office, or in a big way, helping them find a new job or move on in their life, if they've been out of work. I love what we do, and I find it very energizing and rewarding.
Yeah. And if you'd never joined the family company, or if Reed never existed, what would you think you'd be doing now?
I'd be a detective. Undercover. Yeah.
Wow. How come? You just love Line of Jeezy and
I love those two. No, I'm curious about people. I'm really interested in people and what makes them tick. And and I like a bit of excitement. So finding out, what's going on, I just love. I'd find that fascinating.
Fantastic.
And I like solving problems. Cracking a crime is solving a problem.
Yeah. And if you were Prime Minister for the day, what would you do?
I'd like to be Prime Minister for longer than a day.
Well, yes.
Because then you could do a few things. In a day, I'd really want to make Britain a destination for people who wanted to start and grow businesses. So I would try and remove anything that was discouraging for that. And to make this, Napoleon Bonaparte used to mock the English as a nation of shopkeepers. But he underestimated us. And I think we need to be a nation of shopkeepers once again, and we need to encourage enterprise and entrepreneurs as much as we possibly can.
So what can the government do then to encourage that?
The opposite of some of the things they're doing at the moment, which is, I would like longer to be Prime Minister if I was than a day. So some of the tax incentives are not helpful, and some of the changes that came in the last budget have caused entrepreneurs to leave the country in quite large numbers. So they've had damaging effects in that way. Some of the regulations aren't helpful. Some of the pending labour market rules aren't helpful. So there's lots of things you could change. But by changing it and making it a destination for entrepreneurs and people who build businesses, you would bring jobs, you would bring wealth, and you'd bring the ability to pay for more of the public services that we all want. So, you need a really thriving economy to support a country of 70 plus million people. And, that's what we should be prioritizing.
We're only a few days away now from Rachel Reeves delivering her second budget.
Yes.
Are you optimistic it's going to be better for UK businesses than last year?
I don't expect to be cracking anything open after the budget. Am I optimistic? No, because I think the financial situation looks very difficult. And I don't think the last budget helped, because I think it was discouraging to business, and that meant people leaving. And so that might have made the financial situation more difficult. I think they should probably drop those promises in the manifesto. They kind of did already when they put employers' national insurance up, because if the black hole, as they keep calling it, is as big as it seems to be, you probably need an increase in one of the main taxes, and it should be everyone that carries the cost, not just business it's actually workers who are paying the extra national insurance, and some of them are paying it with their jobs.
It always comes back to that, though, isn't it? You tax businesses, and the last year or so, I've lost count of how many accounts I've read where they've said, well, we've tried our best to not pass it on to the customer, but we've had to at least a certain extent. At the end
you
of the
have
day,
to. You can't. The costs businesses have been really squeezed.
Yeah.
So we knew immediately after the last budget that this was going to be bad for jobs, because employers were ringing us up and saying, we're not going to hire those people we were looking for anymore. Literally days after, because we can see that it's going to be more expensive to hire people than it was. So that has come to pass, and it's continuing to squeeze jobs. I mean, we've had a long period of decline in vacancies, 3 years. I mean, that's unheard of. So I'm hoping that that the budget will leave business alone so we can get on with it, having picked up it seemed to me that a smaller number of taxpayers are being asked to pay more and more, when I don't think that's sustainable in the end.
I came into the workforce in the aftermath of the 2007-8 financial crisis.
Yeah.
And there was no jobs at the time. I was coming out of university in 2012, and there still wasn't any jobs. It feels like it's worse now. At least that's what the narrative appears to be saying. Is that correct?
Well, it is worse in terms of declining vacancies, because it's gone on way longer than it did then. I mean, what's worse about it now, I think, is then there was a defined crisis. You could see why this had happened, and you could see an end to it after a bit. It's not clear. There might be some really big structural changes going on with new technology, and governments are struggling all around the world, and it's not clear where this is going to end. And so I think that makes it much more difficult, and it makes it much more difficult for government. It makes it difficult for business, but it particularly makes it difficult for people trying to find jobs.
Also, it sounds like it's difficult to be optimistic about the state of the UK economy and whether it's going to improve and grow significantly in the next few years or so.
Well, it will at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, these periods in my experience, don't go on forever.
No.
They might go on for a while, but it might require some changes in policy and government and approach. So, it might be that we're in this sort of malaise or in the doldrums for a bit, but then something will happen, and then it will start improving again.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed. Anyway, it's difficult when you get out a crystal ball and have a look into it. A lot of the time, the predictions are wildly incorrect.
You know what? I actually have a crystal ball at home, and a magic wand. So I can, I can say I actually have a magic wand. When people say if I had a magic wand,
well, you need to be waving it on the 26th of November. Then, don't you?
I think I might get both out on the 26th of November. Well, I don't know what good it will do.
I'm interested in older people coming back into the workforce. They've maybe been made redundant for the first time in their careers in the sort of their late 40s, early 50s, and they're applying for 100-odd jobs and not hearing anything back from them. Is it that section of the jobs market which is the most competitive at the moment? Because it's a difficult time.
Well, first thing I want to say is they're not older people in their late 40s and early 50s.
Relatively speaking, within the job.
In their prime.
Indeed.
They've got experience and energy, which is what you want. I know where you're headed. I think all stages are, it's difficult to get a job at the moment.
Yeah.
And it can be demoralizing when people make application after application. Often they don't hear back or they don't get any progress. One thing, it's easy for me to say is just don't give up, persist. But then there are other routes, old-fashioned routes, like write someone a letter, or maybe someone can introduce you to someone. Are you using your network as much as you could? Have you done any volunteering? Have you got a temporary job for a bit? Because someone who's working even if it's a few hours a week, is more attractive to an employer than someone who hasn't. And then there are services like we offer with Read in Partnership and other companies like it who help people who have been out of work for long periods of time, get their CV ready, prepare for interviews. So there are lots of things you can actually do. But, people do tell me that ageism persists, that employers are biased against older workers. And clearly they should not be. I think it's a mistake. I'm a big advocate of what I call a multi-generational workforce. We go from Alec Reed, age 91, to people who are 19 in our business. Yeah. And I think that really enriches it. So, I think it's a mistake for employers to be ageist. But I say to some of the older workers I meet who are finding it hard to get jobs, sometimes they're not ageist, they're energist. And they're just looking for energy and people who are going to bring some verve and get up and go to their business. Doesn't matter how old you are if you demonstrate that.
Yeah, okay.
Enthusiasm is infectious.
Yeah. And as a recruiter, I imagine you've got some good tips for those job candidates to take into an interview to succeed. Do you have 3 top tips you could share?
Read my book, Why You?
There we go. We've done the shameless plug. Come on.
No, but genuinely, if you've got an interview, or you can listen to it on Spotify, and if you're a subscriber, it's free. This book was written 15 years ago, and it's still a best-selling interview book. And I'll tell you why, it's nothing to do with me. It was crowdsourced. I had the idea, but it was crowdsourced. So we asked our employer clients, what's your favorite interview question? We got hundreds and hundreds of questions back. And we put the most common and the most unusual or interesting in the book. There are 101. Why you? 101 interview questions you'll never fear again. And then we got our consultants to workshop each question. What's the motivation behind this question? Why are you being asked this question? How can you think about answering it? So we did that, and that's the format of the book. And we distilled interviews down to 15 fateful questions. And the most common question, number 1 in the book, is tell me about yourself. Now, if you've prepared that question, you can nail it. And, you've thought about what job you're applying for. And the other thing that a lot of people get wrong is they don't realize that a job is a problem to be solved. So they've got to present themselves as the solution to that particular problem. And instead they're in, so what's in it for me here mode. That doesn't work. So if you can prepare the key questions, remember that you're applying for a job that is a problem to be solved and you're meant to be the solution to the problem, and be well prepared when you go in, you'll feel way more confident and you'll give a much better account of yourself. And that's why we did the book, because we wanted our candidates to give a fair and true account of themselves. We had all these great people coming back saying, I'm a bit disappointed with how I did at that interview. Well, we didn't want people to feel that. So, and my favorite review, final plug of the book, is three three-letter words and 5 stars from Amazon. And the 3-letter words are got the job. And that's why we did it.
Yeah.
So I hope it's helpful to people. And as I say, it's free if you go on Spotify. I'm not trying to make money out of this. Believe me, you don't make money out of books.
No.
I mean, they're great for spreading ideas. Unless you're writing Harry Potter or something, you don't make money out of books.
Well, you got the magic wand.
Yeah.
So
I've got the wand. I don't need it right now.
And finally, James, I'd like to end the episodes on this question. What does it take, in your opinion, to be a good CEO?
People always leave the toughest question till last, don't they? I think to be a good CEO, well, I've been a CEO for a long time. I think I might be one of the longest serving CEOs in the UK. I've been CEO since 1997. I think you want to be accessible to people so that they feel that they can tell you what they think, what they feel, and what's going on. So, I love going out into the business, into the world and talking to people, because I find that's where I get information. That's where I get inspiration and most specifically ideas. And I think if you're going to be a CEO for a long time, you've got to keep reinventing your business. You've got to keep reinventing what you do. So, our latest new business, Read.ai, is an attempt to create something for the future. I mean, it doesn't work as well as it will, but we're going to stick at it. And it reminds me, we were just talking about this, I was with someone earlier, of 1995, when we started read.co.uk, when the web was just emerging. It feels like a similar moment. It's a new wave of technology. And we were just curious about it. And at the time, I remember someone saying, it's like, if the bus looks like it's going somewhere interesting, we want to be on it. And then someone quipped, yeah, and often you end up walking home. And they're both true. So I think being curious is really, there are lots of different styles of being a CEO, but for me, I think it's being curious.
Fantastic. James, thank you very much for coming in.
Well, thank you for inviting me, John. It's been good talking to you.